In a warm, sunny jungle lived a young elephant named Elly. Unlike the other elephants, Elly was afraid of water. While her friends splashed happily in the river, sprayed water with their trunks, and played noisy games in the mud, Elly stayed far back on the dry sand. She curled her trunk tightly and shook her head whenever anyone asked her to come closer. What if I slip? What if I fall? What if the water is too deep? She worried. The other animals didn't understand, but elephants love water. The monkeys chattered from the trees. Elly wished she could love it too, but her heart beat fast every time she heard the river rushing by. One hot afternoon, the sun was shining so strongly that all the animals felt tired and thirsty. The zebras went to drink, the hippos cooled themselves, and the birds dipped their wings in the water. Elly stood under a tree, sweating and uncomfortable. Her best friend, a little bird named Piko, flew over to her. "Elly, why don't you at least touch the water? Just a tiny step," he asked kindly. Elly shook her big head. "I can't. I'm too scared," she whispered. Piko didn't laugh or tease her. Instead, he sat on her head and said softly, "It's okay to be scared, but maybe if you try a very small step, it won't feel so big." Just then, a scared cry echoed through the jungle. "Help! Help!" Everyone turned to see a baby monkey clinging to a rock in the middle of the river. A sudden strong current had pulled him away from the shore. The other monkeys jumped up and down, shouting, but none of them could swim that far. The water rushed and foamed around the little monkey, who was shaking with fear. All the animals looked around, worried and confused. "What do we do?" they asked each other. Elly's heart pounded. She could feel her legs trembling, not just from her own fear of water, but from seeing the baby monkey in danger. Piko leaned down to Elly's ear. "Elly," he said gently, "you're the only one big and strong enough to reach him. Your legs are tall. You can stand where others can't. I know you're afraid, but your friend needs you." Elly looked at the water, then at the tiny monkey crying for help. She felt her fear like a heavy stone in her chest, but she also felt something else, a warm, pulling feeling that wanted to protect the little one. She took a deep breath. "I am afraid," she said to herself, "but I don't want him to be more afraid than me." Slowly, step by careful step, Elly moved toward the edge of the river. The first touch of water on her foot made her jump back. It was cool and strange. She almost turned away, but then she heard the baby monkey's weak voice again. "Please," he whispered. Elly took another deep breath. "For him," she said, and stepped into the river again. One foot, then the other. The water swirled around her legs, and her heart raced, but she kept going. Piko stayed on her head, whispering, "You're doing it, Elly. I'm right here." The water grew deeper, but Elly was tall, and soon she was close enough to reach the rock. She stretched out her long trunk and gently wrapped it around the shaking baby monkey, lifting him safely onto her back. All the animals cheered from the riverbank as Elly slowly walked back to the shore. A baby monkey held on tightly, then jumped into his mother's arms, crying with relief. Elly stepped out of the water, dripping wet, her legs still a little shaky, but something had changed. She had gone into the river. She had stood in the middle. She had saved a friend. The monkeys, zebras, and birds all surrounded her, thanking her and calling her brave. Elly felt surprised. "Brave?" she repeated. "But I was scared the whole time." Piko smiled. "That's what real bravery is," he said. "Being scared, but doing the right thing anyway." The next day, when the sun grew hot again, the other elephants went to play in the river as usual. Elly walked to the edge and looked at the water. Her fear was still there, but it was smaller now, like a shadow instead of a giant. Piko perched on her head. "Want to try just a little splash today?" he asked. Elly nodded slowly. She put one foot in, then another. The water felt cool and gentle. She blew some into her trunk and sprayed it softly into the air. A few drops fell on her face, making her laugh. The other elephants cheered and invited her to join their games. Bit by bit, Elly began to enjoy the water, first with little steps, then with bigger ones. In time, Elly became one of the best swimmers and splashers in the whole herd. But she never forgot the day she was afraid and went into the river anyway to save a friend. She learned that fears don't always disappear at once, but each small brave step makes them weaker. And in the middle of her biggest fear, she discovered her greatest strength. From then on, whenever any young elephant was scared of something new, Elly would tell them, "It's okay to be afraid. Just start with one small step. You might surprise yourself, just like I did the elephant who was once afraid of water."